Israeli Jewish Antifa hacks Triple K website and doxes members. So, guys, when I'm talking about Triple K, I'm talking about a certain group of people that wear pointy white hats, okay? But we don't use certain words here because of the YouTube algorithm. So I'm going to be saying Triple K. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the screen. Okay. A group of Israeli anti-fascists recently hacked a Triple K website, had to catch myself, and exposed the identities of several of its members. The hackers gave an exclusive statement to the Jerusalem Post identifying themselves as Halalim al-Munin, Hebrew for anonymous soldiers. Antifa hacked
Ha'alim Amonim. So
Thank
I
you.
is E in Hebrew, just like in Arabic.
Thank you. Okay, so Antifa hacked into the Patriotic Brigade of Knights website, an institution aligned with the notorious Triple K white. Oh, shoot. There's so many sensitive words here. Low melanated
melanins. Yeah, there you go.
Low melanated supremacists. The software hackers exposed the personal information of the Triple K branch members in Texas. The clan331.com website ordinarily displayed common representations of low melanated supremacy and a link to join the organization. However, Antifa hackers transformed it significantly. The website URL has now been changed to jewishantifa.com. Quote, "Our objective is to strike terror into the hearts of the enemies of humanity," Antifa stated exclusively to the Jerusalem Post. So yeah, and there's a lot more to get into here, but that's just the broad view.
I mean, okay, so isn't this, I don't know how to feel about this. Isn't like doxing the members kind of illegal? And also like the members doxing them, like don't they live with their families and their children, and now you're putting them at risk as well? Like I don't know. This sounds cool and all if you don't think about it, but then if you think about it, it sounds irresponsible. I don't know. How do I feel about this? Rivka.
Yeah, I am not in favor of exposing people's personal information like addresses and things like that, because that is a potential to have innocent people harmed, to have people that have nothing to do with it. And then also it's sort of a passive aggressive incitement to violence. And so I'm not at all in favor of doing that. I do think it's hilarious that they got into this just in a sort of, badass way. Oop, bad donkey starts with an A way.
No, I think you can say that. I don't even know anymore.
I don't know what the rules are.
So it seems like that is funny, especially because they had the Shabbat Shalom up on the page, which was funny. And then they made this statement saying that neo and bad German N people from World War II and other low melanated supremacist groups believe and articulate this theory that Jewish people have this sort of all-seeing eye, we control everything. So they're making fun of that and using it against them, and they even said that we want to exploit their fantasies to make them a reality. And at one point it says, there is nowhere that is beyond our reach. We will find you. So they're saying expose them, which like I said, I don't agree with, but I think it's a little bit funny that they're using this sort of control of everything, trope as a way of poking them in the eye a little bit. It's funny.
I'll read.
It's very trollish.
I'll read the direct quote. Again, guys, I will be using coded language. Okay. Neo-Yazis and other low melanated supremacist groups believe that Jews have an all-seeing eye. Our desire is to make their fantasies a reality and exploit their conspiracies as a form of psychological warfare. We want them to know that wherever they are in the world, we will find them and we will expose them. We will destroy their lives, and we will bathe in their tears and mock at the gnashing of their teeth. There is nowhere that is beyond our reach. End quote.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool and badass. And this is also very funny. Is it possible to enjoy the humor and how badass it is while also not condoning it? Can you do both at the same time, or is that the contradiction?
That's a
Rivka, you're
good
muted.
question.
Here, let me unmute my phone. Yeah, Rivka, go on.
Oh, you're still muted.
Rivka, you're still muted.
So, third try. I think absolutely you can do both at the same time. You can marvel at the, badassery, the trollish, the funny elements in it that are kind of brutal, like dark humor-ish. But at the same time, you can say, I think it's funny. And some of the points they're making about, using their conspiracy theories against them are interesting and maybe could be used in a different way instead of, just hacking in sort of makes that point without having to put them potentially in harm's way, especially their children or their spouses, or, there was a story from several years ago. I don't remember exactly which group, but doxed someone, and people went to this person's house and beat the person who was at the house to hospitalization. And it turned out it wasn't the guy they were looking for. It was his brother feeding the dog. Like, it was at his brother's house. So, not that I'm saying, as long as you can make sure you find the right people, it's okay. No, it's just this very, in my mind, passive aggressive incitement to violence, which is very typical of the Antifa methodology.
Yeah.
So they want to egg it on. They want to incite it. They want other people to do the dirty work of, the gnashing of teeth and the bloody, hand-to-hand combat. But they're behind the scenes, with their hand up the puppet's back, or, whispering in their ear, come on, go ahead, fight.
Yeah, well, one thing that was interesting about this site is that they exposed a lot of the criminal records of the people involved with this chapter, which includes a lot of child abuse of a sexual nature. And it includes like a whole page about how they basically say that the Triple K is a satanic P-file cult, and that that P-files were among the first Yahtzees. And so they also like draw this connection between.
Wait, you're using coded language again?
Yes.
Oh my god. YouTube, look what you're making us do.
Yes. I'm sorry if I'm not making any sense, you guys.
I don't know that there was a lot of deviance. I'm sure I've read a lot about that and drug use amongst the access powers, but and particularly that the N word from Germany. That one.
Yahtzees.
I always forget it. Yahtzees. There was some of that, but I don't know that that's a direct correlation. And then the whole thing about exposing the records brings up an interesting, because those are probably public domain to know people who are on the registered offenders list and things like that. So can you say, we found, 22 people with criminal records, many of which were maltreatment of children in this organization? And then without creating this, sort of laissez-faire vigilantism, maybe, or something like that. I think that that's a more legitimate criticism because it has actual harm and it's public record. So you're not doing anything that someone who wanted to work a little bit could find it, especially if you could. You don't even have to say their names, but just people to know that there are convicted P-files in a particular organization seems like a legitimate criticism or a legitimate point to make.
Okay, I have a question. Wouldn't this strategy backfire? Wouldn't this, the triple K people are so irrelevant compared to, again, I'm not saying far-right groups are irrelevant. There are many far-right groups that are becoming more relevant and they're a danger. And just to be clear, far-right groups cause a lot more, have been responsible for a lot more violence, at least in Western countries, than Antifa or anything like that, at least based on the reports. But the Triple K organization itself is not one of the ones that is very relevant. I mean, they are...
According to this website, the SPLC says that this branch, which is the Patriotic Brigade of Knights of the Triple K, the SPLC classifies it as an active group. It's the fastest growing in the Triple K group in the U.S. that has now created branches in 4 states.
Okay, never mind then. I was wrong.
Well,
okay,
I think you are kind of right to some degree. They did cause a lot of violence and create a lot of issues, in the previous decade or century, rather. I'm sorry, and definitely in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. So, and actually some of the laws that we have on the books about not covering your face on public highways came from prosecutions in North Carolina in the 30s of the Triple K people. However, you are right that they are less of perhaps active force now, but I think the history that they have behind them and sort of the, I hate to use this word, but relevance in people's minds, or some sort of position of priority in terms of bringing these issues to the forefront, so they're handing the baton. It's like a gateway drug to some of these other organizations, and also people who aren't necessarily familiar but are looking to get into that world or learn more, that has name recognition, so they will go there and then move on to more radical groups or learn more about it, so I think that they are still quite relevant.
Right, but I was trying to make a point, if please, Susanna. I'm just kidding. Because, all right, I was trying to get at maybe highlighting their website is not a good idea, because they're going to get their website back. And guess what? Now you advertise their whole website to the whole world, including a whole bunch of other far-right groups that they're like, oh, thank you so much for bringing attention to this group that we didn't know that we could go and support. What do you think?
I don't know if they are going to get it back. It's been a while since this first happened, and it's still...
I'm just saying that
hacked.
Any attention to the group would be...
That's a double-edged sword that I think you run into if they do any kind of action, that it could have an unintended consequence of giving publicity to whomever you're, directing your protest or whatever against, and then they could reap the rewards of that. Yeah, I think that that's always a potential. But from my perspective, I would, sans the doxing, rather, I would much rather know who these people are, where they are, what they're saying, in terms of when I mean who, like as an organization, then not know where they are. And then when people talk about, right-wing neo-Yahtzee violence and things like that, they're going to say, well, where, what? I never see any of those. I've never heard of it. It's not on the internet, or, you know what I mean? That's from my perspective.
Right, but yeah, I'm just saying that sometimes things that seem cool might actually end up making a group. I mean, we have this experience. People who attack us. Every time we got attacked by people who wanted to like shut us down, everything worked out in our favor. Like it was fantastic, right?
We just get stronger.
No, I know. I know that sounds like a cliche, but it's true. Like every time Atheist Republic managed to level up, like we hit a plateau and we weren't growing, and we're just maintaining what we were at. Every time we went to the next level is when somebody decided that they don't like us and they want to remove us, and we just like they're the best. They ended up being the best marketing for us, right? So I'm just saying, based on our personal experience, these tactics usually backfire and help the group that you're trying to attack.
Yeah, they definitely can. That can definitely have the unintended consequence that that the attackers were hoping not to have happen.
Well, the thing is, I haven't found, the key when that happens is you have to spring up somewhere else, right? To be able to actually glean the benefit of that, negative publicity that turns into free marketing. I haven't been able to find where they have sprung up in replacement. So, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, be mindful of that. Anyways, we do need to go to the next news. Did you want to add anything? No? Okay.
No, there were some really wild comments on the Facebook page with this news, but
I bet there were.
Oh yeah, like what?
People started calling us Zionists for some reason and asking us to explain ourselves, and I was like, "What?"
Wait, but I'm based on some definitions of Zionism, I am a Zionist. So
myself as well. I don't know why people insist on it being a pejorative.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny though. Like, and then there was someone in the comment who's like, "I formally ask Atheist Republic to explain itself," and I was like, "What are you talking about, bro?"
It was Israel adjacent, and it has the flag and the thing, so people their knee jerk, anti-Israel stance for just for existing.
Yeah. Oh, just to be clear, like Antifa Israeli group is probably not a Zionist. Like a lot of people are like, oh, that's a contradiction. Like, I would assume that these Antifa group, even though they're Israeli, they're based on Antifa philosophy, they're anti-Zionist.
Who knows?
Right.
It's true, but who knows? Like, sometimes people are not consistent in their adoption of what they claim are their deeply held beliefs.
That's my best guess. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people assume Israeli means that you're cool with Zionism and everything. They don't understand that. I've been to Israel. Among two. Let me just finish this up.
No.
Among two Israelis, you have like three different opinions, right? So this idea, like, how could you have Antifa Israelis? Like, well, it's possible that they're not down with Zionism, even though they're Israeli. I think like that blows people's minds that, oh, if you're Israeli, you must be pro-Zionism. Like,
it's pretty simple. Like, I was an American Antifa who's anti-American, anti-America.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's not
the nation you're from.
It's not a difficult, circle to square or whatever. But this Mossad tweet. But yeah, I think that your point really shows people's lack of understanding, about what it maybe means to be a member of this group or that group, and that also lack of understanding of the multicultural, very wide swath of different belief sets and political views in Israel. You know, people really don't investigate it further than that. And also, that's another example of living in a country that gives you more rights to express yourself, that you could be from a country and holding up signs actively hating it. And
Yeah.
you're, you know,
Yeah.
and that's something that's seen as normal in your society.
Well, yeah, you just have to tell them that, just compare it to your country and maybe you'll understand. Like, a lot of people think like, oh, if you're somebody from Iran, that means you understand Iranian politics inside and out, and all your knowledge is authentic. Everything, your opinions are authentic because you're from there.
Well,
Like,
yours is.
yeah, mine, I'm different though. But no, but
Ahmed down at the gas station told me all about everything that's going on in Iran.
yeah. Like, well, he's from Iran, so he must be right. But like, and just like, if you're American, for example, just think of the average American. Do you trust all their opinions about U.S. politics just because they're American? And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of Why There's No. Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free. It's not even promotion. It's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.